The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. I can't hear this song without thinking of, like, the best radio promotion stunt ever. There was a radio station in town that was going to switch formats back in the early 90s, and they were going to like an oldies station or whatever. And in the 2 weeks leading up to the new format, they discovered that this song was the most played song of all time. And so they just played this song 24/7 for 2 straight weeks.
Oh. Okay.
Which was funny. If you ever... Oh, no. It was Louie Louie, not Wooly Bully.
Okay.
Dang, wrong song. My bad.
Okay.
All right, that anecdote wasn't as good. All right, let's talk some Mammoth hockey. We also want to remind you about RGS Exteriors. Join Hanson Scotty coming up tomorrow at RGS from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. He covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com. He's our friend Cole Bagley with us on Jake and Ben. What's going on, Cole?
How much are you guys?
Doing well. Another loss last night for a team that, I don't want to say spiraling. You know, they've been able to stop the bleeding at points, but I guess the fear is even when they have a 7-0 win and it feels like the ship is righted, it immediately hits another iceberg. So what do you make of what's happening right now with the Mammoth?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at those 2 wins that they had last week over the Ducks and over Vancouver, Vancouver's the worst team in the National Hockey League, and the Ducks were playing their 3rd and 4th string goaltenders. So, you know, I don't think it's unfair to say that this team is spiraling, and you know, it's kind of what it looks like on the ice. You know, I think I've counted 5 or 6 broken sticks over the last week or so. You know, during games as guys are getting frustrated, and you know, I think what stands out to me, especially after last night, is you know, last night wasn't a coaching problem. You know, during morning skate, you know, we talked with head coach Andre Tourney, and he told us exactly how the Kings were going to attack them, which was they were going to dominate the neutral zone. And they were going to be very opportunistic, and that's exactly how they beat the Mammoth last night. And, you know, we talked to Keller after the game, and he even alluded to the fact that, look, the coaches had us prepared. We just didn't do what they asked us to do. We didn't execute properly. So, yeah, it seems interesting. It's a lot of obviously some high highs to begin the year, but there's been a lot of low lows recently.
What do we know about Logan Cooley's injury, and how much is that going to impact things?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, starting next season, he's the highest paid player on the roster. I'd say he's probably the most dynamic player on this roster. Their second-line center, he's obviously young, but he showed, you know, spurts of absolute brilliance this season with a hat trick and then a 4-goal game. So it's tough to lose a player like that. In terms of his injury, you know, out indefinitely is tough. I don't know if you guys saw, you know, the injury that happened that took place. You know, he ran into the post at a really high speed, and his leg just bent a really awkward way. That you know, of my own speculation, you know, leads me to believe that this is more, you know, something in terms of the ligaments as opposed to a bone, especially with them saying out indefinitely, right? I mean, if it was a broken bone, we probably would have had a time period of 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, whereas right now, you know, basically what they're saying is, look, he's out indefinitely, which means we don't know, you know, the extremity of the injury. So, you know, hopefully in the next week or two, we get some more clarity as they continue to try and figure things out for him. But, you know, right now he's out, and they don't know when he's going to be back. So they've got to figure things out quickly, and they need other players to start stepping up.
Lawson Krause also got banged up last night. What happened there?
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, he came back out, and I believe he played the rest of the game. But he was just forechecking, chasing the puck, went around the net, and then I don't know if he caught an edge or, you know, what exactly happened, but his knee kind of buckled, and then he didn't put any weight on it, went straight to the locker room. I believe that was during the second period, but he came out. And, you know, played more minutes. So I would just.
Cole Bagley with us here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Cole, if the Mammoth are going to reach expectations, what do you think is missing? What aren't they doing?
Well, first of all, and again, I go back to the conversation we had with Keller last night. They're not playing offense the right way. You know, if you if you watch the successful teams, if you look at what successful hockey is right now, it's generating traffic, it's getting bodies to the net, it's, you know, moving the goaltender side to side, and it's playing bully style hockey. I mean, that's why the Florida Panthers have won back-to-back cups. Is, you know, that team has arguably bested two of the most skilled players, if not the most skilled player to ever play the game in Connor McDavid 2 years in a row, because they've just bullied their way to a Stanley Cup. And, you know, Utah needs to do more of that. That's not what they're doing right now. Like I said, Keller explained to us last night, how do you find consistent offense? And he said, look, we're trying to do too much. We're not looking at our first option. That you need a guy in front of the net, you need a guy in the slot. That's how you generate consistent offense. And so I think they need to play more structurally sound. They need to, you know, kind of go back to the basics and do what works. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of players on this team who their production is down from a season ago. You know, Clayton Keller, I'm going to give him a pass just based on, you know, what he's gone through recently. But, you know, he put up 90 points a season ago. He's on track for about 70. Jack McBain, who signed a $4.25 million AAV contract, he's only got a handful of points. I want to say 4 or 5. He finished last season with almost 30. You know, so he's down in terms of production. And then Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley just haven't quite taken the step that I think a lot of people were expecting. You know, 2 years ago, they both put up about 40 points. They came into last season, they both reached about 60. And so the anticipation was, look, they're going to take another 20-point jump. Well, that just hasn't happened. And obviously goaltending is down pretty significantly as compared to last season. And so Utah may be looking at some external solutions. This may be a situation where, you know, I know for a fact that Bill Armstrong has told this team, you know, the expectation is playoffs or bust. We will not settle for anything less. And you know, the way that they're playing right now, that's not going to take place. So they might need to start looking at the trade market and seeing if they can't acquire somebody, you know, who's going to help them right the ship.
Cole, we appreciate all of your work. Thank you very much, bud.
Thanks, Cole.
Thanks, gentlemen.
There you go. Cole Bagley covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com.
Funny dynamic happening with the Mammoth here, which is I'm sure Bill Armstrong, Andre Tyranny, who have been doing this for 5+ years now, have this desire to get this team to the playoffs. You know, they've been going through this rebuild dating back to Arizona for a long time. In Utah here, it's not felt that long. You know, they had a fun first season. I think it was pretty successful. They didn't make the playoffs, but I thought, they were above 500, had a pretty fun team. And this year, I think they probably could have coasted on that, but they did set the bar of making the playoffs, and they went out and they made some aggressive trades, and they paid some guys in the offseason. And that did set that bar, and now if they fall short of it, I think there's going to be a kind of funny reaction to it, maybe more so internally than externally. I wonder if they're putting undue pressure on themselves, which, I do. I like when organizations pressure themselves to succeed as opposed to just taking advantage of, we're a new team or we're in a new city or whatever, something silly. Like we got new jerseys and that's enough for people, a new team name. But I do wonder if it's not I wonder if it's incongruent with how the fan base feels or expects.
All right, we'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Ben, I think I've got a foolproof way to make millions of dollars.
Oh, I love that idea.
I don't know if
Christian, you in?
I don't know if I should share it on the radio,
probably.
But I think I've got an idea.
Let's do it.
Stay tuned. Wrapping up next, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.